So you're here to find out how much to charge in your new medical billing business. So let's just skip the drama and all the other stuff and let me get to the point. You need to charge 10% for all revenue collected, $1,500 for a setup fee, and $3 per patient statement. If you're doing anything else other than that, you are doing it wrong. Now, I hope you didn't listen to a word that I said in that last clip, because I just needed to get your attention and I wanted to prove a point. Because pricing in your medical billing business is strategic, but it is also very personal to you. So I can't tell you how to charge. I know you kind of just want somebody to tell you what's the right amount to charge in your business, because trust me, I was at that point too. But unfortunately, I cannot do that for you. And it would be an injustice to you if I tried to do that. So I know you're probably afraid of making any type of mistakes, but remember, mistakes is all a part of this journey and it will be beneficial to you in the long run. So we're on day 9 of our series, from medical biller to billing business owner, balancing work and entrepreneurship. And I'm going to tell you why it's important for you to put in the work in pricing your medical billing services. I'm also going to tell you some mistakes that are commonly made, and I'm going to give you some tips that can help you feel more confident in pricing your services. But first, I want to talk to you about a few things. The first thing is your relationship with money. It is very important that you find out what your relationship with money is, and then when you do, if it is not a good one, you need to try to correct that. And why that is important is because for a while, and I'm going to give myself as an example, I didn't have necessarily a really good relationship with money. It wasn't that I felt intimidated with money or that I felt like, I could never get any, but it was more of the fact that I kind of just didn't think about it very much. Like I just kind of, whatever. If somebody owed me money, and of course if it wasn't money that I needed right then, I would just be like, well, when they pay it, they pay it. Or, oh, well, maybe they needed it more than me, so, that's why they didn't pay me back. Like, that's not always a bad thing, but a lot of times it can be. Because if you are so free with money, then you're probably one of those individuals who would say, oh, the provider is late on their invoice. That's okay. I'll just still keep doing their billing and, let them pay when they want to. When you start to do those things, that affects your business and how successful it is. So you need to figure out what your relationship with money is, and if it's not a good one, try to improve on it. Now again, you can have different types of relationships with money. As far as my example, it was like I just really didn't think about it, but yours could be that you have a scarcity mindset. Maybe you feel like you never have money, money never comes to you, and so every little dime that you get, you hold on to it tight. That's not a good relationship to have with money either. So there are a lot more that, we can talk about. And if you want to, you probably could go on YouTube and look it up. But try to get a good relationship with money, because that's going to help you when it comes to pricing your services and dealing with your clients who will be paying you for what you're doing for them. Then after you do that, you should probably consider how much you want to make. Now, this will be a more specific amount, or you can go in deeper when you start to do all the calculations and stuff. But you kind of want to have an idea, a reasonable idea, let me put that out, of what you feel like you may want to make. When I first started out, and finally started to think about this stuff, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I didn't really think about this. I would do billing for providers, again, because I didn't really feel like I was a billing company. I just felt like I was helping providers, so I really didn't think about all of this. But when I really started to think about, I'm a business, I need to make money, all of that stuff, I said to myself, if I could just make, an extra $3,000 a month, that would be good. So it was just an idea in my mind. Now, after I did the numbers and the figures and what goals I had with this extra money, I had to up that some more. But to begin with, at least if you say, how much do you reasonably think you want to make from this, and how much you think you'll be able to reasonably get from this? So of course, there are a few ways that you can charge. And some of those ways are percentage, where you charge a percentage of the revenue that you collect. There's also per hour, when like with the 9-to-5 job, you get paid a certain amount per hour. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that one, but that is an option. And then there is a flat rate that you can actually charge, where you say you're going to bill the provider a flat fee each month. There are other ones and combinations of ones, so I probably will have to go deeper into that at some point in time. Or you can schedule your remote one-on-one with me, where I can go deeper into the different ways that you can charge and see which one is actually best for you. But we're going to talk about the mistakes that you make when you're trying to price your services. Now, the first mistake is that you don't factor in the expenses that you're going to have for your new medical billing business. And when I speak to those individuals who do the remote one-on-ones with me, I always bring up to them about these expenses that they are going to have. So you're working a full-time job. Most of the time you are getting paid hourly. And so when you branch out to do billing for a provider, you tend to tell them an hourly figure. And that figure, I've noticed, have been close to what you get paid in your 9-to-5 job. But no. You should not be getting paid what you are getting paid at your full-time job. So if, for instance, you decide to charge hourly in your medical billing business and you get paid in your full-time job $25 an hour to do the billing, you should not be asking for $25 an hour for your clients in your billing business. Because remember, now you have so much more to pay. As a full-time employee, you pay taxes. Taxes is enough that will take out of your money if you're getting $25 an hour. But could you imagine having to pay double the taxes? Because remember, you're the owner now of this business, so you're going to have to pay self-employment tax. Then you're going to have to pay for insurance if you have insurance for your business. You're also going to have to pay for the computer, the internet, because remember, at your full-time job, they are setting that up for you. You came in, you have those things. But in your business, you are responsible for dealing with them. So you have to pay for internet, you have to pay for paper, you have to pay for all type of things. And then that's not even including your labor, what you are doing as the biller. So if we kick out the labor and you decide you want just $25, that $25 might just go only towards your expenses, and you do not want that. So just keep in mind that if you're getting paid $25 or you're getting paid a figure, now I say $25 because that's kind of like an average depending on where you work. Don't quote me on that, but it depends on the location you're at, the specialty, and all that stuff. But if you're getting paid $25 an hour, do not ask for $25 an hour if you are opening your own medical billing business. You have to ask for way more than that, because you need to figure in the expenses that you will have to pay as a billing business owner. Mistake number 2 is trying to compete with the bigger medical billing businesses. We are not big medical billing businesses. We are solopreneurs. And I won't even say small business owners. We're solopreneurs. So most of us are doing this on our own. So we're not trying to compete with the big billing businesses, the Abilities and the Novolons and we're not trying to compete with them. So if a provider has been working with one of those companies, and let's say that company charges them 3% for their services, there is no way that you can charge 3%, or you're trying to compete with them, so you're going to charge 2% and not drive yourself crazy, or not lose tons of money, or not burn out. There's no way that you can do that. So stop trying to compete with these bigger medical billing businesses. Now, remember, a provider may have dealt with those bigger companies, and for the most part, they may have liked them or whatever. But there is some reason that they're now coming to you. Maybe they're tired of that, big company that treats them like a number. They want somebody who's going to be able to connect with them, they're going to be able to relate to and talk to. There are many reasons. Not everybody wants to deal with these big companies. So just don't try to compete with them. Things that they can do, you cannot do. And you need to understand that's just what it's going to be until maybe you scale and grow and expand. And I'm not saying that you can't do that, but it's going to take time for you to do that. So stop trying to compete with the bigger billing business companies. We are small, personal, intimate medical billers who have a medical billing business, and providers look for that. Mistake number 3 is that we don't do our research. So we go on these forums online, on Facebook and LinkedIn and all of these places, and we start to listen and hear and look at all of the things that other billers talk about and what they do and how they charge and all of that stuff. But we have to take into consideration 3 things: our location, the specialty that we're in, and the services that we offer. All of these play an important role when it comes to pricing. So for example, location. In certain locations, providers get paid differently. Providers in New York may get paid more than providers in Puerto Rico. So you have to keep that into consideration, or you keep that in mind when you're pricing your services, because you can't price maybe the same thing a billing company would price to a provider, to let's say a mental health provider in New York who have lots of patients, who get paid more for a visit. If a provider in New York gets paid an average of, let's say, $150 for an office visit for a mental health, as a mental health provider, providers in Puerto Rico get paid less. They might get paid $30. So you can't charge that provider in Puerto Rico necessarily the same amount that you're charging the provider in New York. At least in my opinion, you can't do that. But you need to do your research to understand and know what these fees are in these different locations. Then you have your specialties. Like I mentioned, mental health providers don't do surgeries, so they're just getting paid basically on visits. And visits are not, thousands of dollars anywhere. Visits are, maybe a couple $100 here or there. But if a provider is a surgeon in any way where they are doing surgeries, they can get paid a lot more, because surgeries can be upwards of $10,000, $15,000. That is a big difference. So all of those things you need to take into consideration when you are pricing. Don't just take other people's prices and just try to duplicate that. You have to do your own research and see what works for you and your providers in your specific location and specialty and the services that you provide. Now, here are 3 bonus tips for you. The first one is, don't let a provider tell you what they're going to pay you. No, no, no. This is not your full-time job. Remember that. This is your business. So you should already have a price in mind when you're speaking to the provider. When you have a full-time job, they already have like a price that they're already saying that they're going to pay you an hour or salary-wise. So when you go in, you know that they're going to pay you $20 an hour, and either you're going to accept that or not accept it. In your billing business, you don't want a provider to come to you and tell you, well, I think you should charge me 3% to do this. And you're going to be like, oh, well, okay, I'll do that. No, you need to tell them, because now you're on the other side. You need to tell them, this is how much my services is. Either you can pay it or you can't pay it. Number 2, do not come in desperation. There is a provider out there for you. There are several providers out there for you. But when you come in that desperation mode, like, I would do anything, I would take anything, just give me a chance, they can see that and they will take advantage of that. And there will come a point where you feel some type of resentment, or you don't do your job well because now you feel like you're not getting paid what you're supposed to be getting paid. But that would be your fault if you didn't let them know the price of your services and you took whatever they said they would give you. And number 3, do not. And I'm laughing because I have done this several times. But do not make up this number from thin air. And I'm going to give you an example because it has happened to me. So knowing better than to do this, but I don't know, there's just something that tends to happen when you deal with providers and you're new and you're not sure, you just don't know. something happens. But I had a provider who came to me, asked me to do their billing, and I was like, sure. Instead of finding out what they wanted me to do and all the stuff that I would have to, do, telling them, okay, let me come back to you. I'll let you know tomorrow, whenever. Because again, I didn't do the marketing for them to come to me. They always tend to come to me and ask me if I can do their billing. So I didn't really have a chance to, do all my research and do all of this stuff. But I should have told them that I need to do, give me a little bit of time, I'll let you know, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't do that. I wanted to kind of like answer on the spot. I don't know why. I wouldn't recommend that, but I have done it. So the provider came to me asking me to do their billing. They were new, they just were opening. And they suggested that I charge them per claim. I don't know whatever possessed me to do per claim, but I said, okay, that sounds like a good thing. And I was getting paid per claim by tiers. So let's say I sent out 100 claims, I got paid $200. Or I sent out between 101 and 400 claims, I got paid $300. It just went up, depending on how much claims were sent. Now, it sounded good on the front end, but on the back end, I will never do that again. So if I had to send out 100 claims and I got paid $200, it sounds good if that was all I had to do. If all I was doing was sending out claims, maybe dealing with rejections, and that was it, then that was fine. But I was doing everything. I was the end-to-end biller where I was submitting claims all the way to patient statements. And so I was basically just getting paid to do the first half of it. But then there came the point, of course, that always happens when there becomes denials and, missing information and patient statements and all of those other things that I was not being compensated for, but I was working hours and hours and hours to get fixed. I would never recommend that, but my point being is to not make up this number in your head, thinking that you're going to come out of thin air with a number that's going to be correct, because for the most part, you're probably going to maybe be able to cover your expenses, but when it comes to your labor and you getting paid for the services that you're doing, you will not be covering that. So now that we have pricing out of the way, I'm sure you know that providers are not one size fits all. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, make sure you check out this video and I'll let you know. I'll see you over there.